Hello, botanist slash soil scientist this week. This is just another chapter related to soil, so I wanted to do two chapters in 1 week related to soil. So some of the major steps in soil science are going to be you need to level the land. You need to make sure that your land is the way it should be, right? So it needs to be flat, as you might guess. It also needs to have some organic material. It also needs to have good physical condition. You don't want weeds, disease, pests, and you want to control erosion. That's a lot to do. We'll take it one step at a time. The first thing used to be tillage. What we're learning in botany, I know this is shocking, the natural ecosystem is better. If you just leave it alone, so much better. So all of the tillage, probably not necessary. Turns out everybody's a lot happier when you don't do the tillage. Sometimes it's effective to do the tillage because you have wet soil, and so when you flip it over, it aerates it. Also, when you flip it over, you lose really good organic matter. It erodes. And your little organisms that were all happily living under the soil are now living on top, and they die. Typically, people do tillage when it is too wet. And this can be, if it's too wet, it's very ineffective and it massively damages your soil. So again, tillage is the physical manipulation of the soil to provide a favorable crop environment. Effective tillage, if there is such a thing, honestly, it's better to just leave it alone. But if you must till, it should create some kind of a better water holding capacity and a balance of percent solids, 50% solids, 50% pore space, so it holds water. It also holds air, so the plants can actually get to the nutrients. The soil surface should be free from clods, which will allow good germination and good plant growth. And the subsoil, which is, your lower horizons, that should also be permeable to air. No-till, the many, many benefits, which is just leave it alone. Don't till it. You do have better water holding capacity. You are not releasing carbon dioxide into the air from the soil. You reduce erosion because the plant and the root being there are actually holding that soil together. When you till it all up, yeah, it feels nice, but really that's just going to erode away. It's better water quality because the soil is intact and it improves the soil health. It improves all of the microorganisms that are in that soil. And you don't need the fossil fuels that you use from tractors and machinery to go over the field. So here's what a no-till field would look like. You can see that this is the stubble from either last year's corn or last year's beans, and they just plant it right in there and the plant grows. And this actually helps reduce pests. So here's someone planting right into the field from last year. And this sometimes helps reduce weed control. So it actually is overall pretty good. No-till is gaining traction, and the USDA and the EPA are trying to encourage it. They're also encouraging cover crops being grown when there's no plant there. Land leveling. Okay, it would be better if your land was flat, but not everyone can have that. Not everybody's Central Illinois. So honestly, it's better to try and level it so you don't have these ponding spots, right? These like deep spots where water's going to pool. Think the parking lot where you have the pooling water. You don't want that if you're trying to grow plants there. You don't actually want that if you're walking in the rain. You don't want that if you're a plant either. So you want it to be as level as possible. Sometimes you will pay some excavation equipment to come in and try and level it out a little bit more. Anytime you have those deep depressions like that, you're going to get erosion. It's just going to erode the soil away. It's going to move the soil around. The plants aren't going to grow there. So you can actually use GPS and laser technology for this. It's really quite cool. Here's some pictures of tillage. Yay, tillage! No, don't till. Bad. Here's a moldborer plow. We literally do not do this anymore. See, it's so bad. It basically just flips the soil from all the way over. It just flips her over. It's no, just so much no for this. It's definitely used less frequently. It shouldn't be used at all, really. Maybe if you're trying to rip into this grass, but honestly, just plant it into the grass. It'll be fine. It's an inverted piece that just flips the soil completely over. And it creates this impermeable, layer at the bottom that's like concrete. It's so many things are not awesome about this. The chisel plow, basically these are just rakes through and tries to maybe aerate it a little bit. It's a curved shank. It digs channels through the soil. It's better than a moldboard plow. It shatters instead of inverts it. It's quicker. There's less soil disturbance. And it reduces, it's better. It's just better. But it's still, we don't really chisel plow anymore. Just leave it. The disc plow, this is a large concave disc set at an angle. Not as sensitive to soil moisture, but again, you're just disturbing all of this good organic matter and it's going to blow away, or it's not good. Just say no. So disking, smaller than a chisel plow, further reduces the clod, can substitute for plowing if soil is good. It's not going to be good if you plow it a bunch, but harrowing, this is basically something that you would do in between the rows to get rid of weeds. Ridging is really you create like hips or like a little hill down the road. You can see them if you drive around agricultural. You'll see that sometimes there's like a little hill, right? There'll be little hills. That's ridging. Hipping, it's called in the South. And it creates a ridge where you would plant on top of the ridge and you would flood or cultivate in between. You can lay irrigation lines there. You can mulch there. You would almost always see that if you're doing horticulture. Like if you see tomato plants or flower plants, or if you go pick your own strawberries, you will see the strawberry plant is up here, and that way they can irrigate, fertilize, and everything in between the rows. Again, cultivation, tillage between germination and harvest. This is very big if you have organic crops and you can't spray like a weed control. You have to go through manually and keep tilling it over and over again. Deep tillage, again, here's a big tractor going in between the rows to get rid of the weeds. This is just what you would do so that there's no weeds in there. And again, it's necessary if you're doing organic because you can't put any weed control in between these rows. Here, do you see? No. There's so much no. No. This would be done in a severe situation where you have a complete hard pan and you can no longer break through it because you've been tilling so long that you actually have to call in these big guns here and they have to come in and just completely start over. And it's down so deep that it cuts into electrical lines and water lines, and it can be bad. Again, it's used to restore soil that was compacted by flooding, but again, this is not ideal. We just leave the soil alone. You can do maybe one pass of tillage if you move somewhere and it's compacted, and then you got to just leave it alone for years and years. You got to just keep putting organic matter on top. Soil fumigation. So sometimes you can get an area that's so infected with pesticide or fungus that you have to fumigate it. This is not great for the environment. It's really bad. And you have to have a pretty serious situation, and you have to have a great way of keeping the methyl bromide from escaping because it's really, really nasty. And it kills everything, like everything. So you have to start completely over and put in the good, like, microbiomes that go there. It destroys everything, all pathogens, all nematodes, all fungus, all virus, all of it. And it's banned for almost everything, except for some exceptions where you have, a containment area, but it's nasty. It kills everything, and then you have to start completely over. There is a pasteurization process that's used in nurseries and greenhouses. You're essentially just heating, you're autoclaving soil. We used to have a soil autoclave in Mississippi. The soil is heated with steam to 160 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes, and then you can reuse the soil. So really, this is recommended in all nurseries and greenhouses. If you're going to reuse your soil, that you autoclave it or fumigate it, in this case, pasteurize it to make sure that it's not carrying any diseases from one time to another. Soil degradation. This is the wearing down of the soil. Basically, this increases erosion, loss of organic matter. You don't want that. Compaction, where it's pushed down and water can't get because the soil particles are too close together. It's waterlogged, or you get salinization, which is salt. Okay, so this is the last slide of this, and then we'll go to video number 2.